Alright guys, so I am going to be cooking some cauliflower fried rice today. And I'm going to kind of do a dumpling filling for a pork dumpling filling to be kind of like the meat inside the fried rice. So I have a bunch of cilantro. You can kind of see this. Let's see. So I have a pile of cilantro. I have some jalapenos. I have some carrots. I had some baby carrots, so I cut those up. I have some frozen peas for the fried rice. I've got some garlic that I'm chopping real fast, and I have a piece of ginger. If you've never worked with fresh ginger, it's used in a lot of Asian and Indian dishes. It's delicious. So it comes in a little root. There's just a skin on it, so I just kind of peel the skin off, and then you want to just chop it really fine. It's kind of stringy a little bit, like jicama or even pineapple kind of. So you just gotta chop it pretty fine, because if you get a piece of that in your teeth, some people, like my husband, hates chunks of ginger, but it adds so much flavor, and even if you don't like it raw, the flavor that it adds is amazing. So get that all chopped up. You can even put this in a little blender and puree it with the garlic if you prefer. We're gonna get pan fired up. So while that's getting warm, we're just going to mix all of our dumpling ingredients. So first off, I have we had some bell pepper left over from the garden, so I'm putting that in there. That's not really traditional. Green onion would be a little more traditional. And I have onions. And you can use red onions, is actually more traditional, but I have white. Some fresh pork. We just got a quarter of a pig from our friends here in Iowa, so we got some good pork. So then I put in a big handful of cilantro. It's chopped up. I'm gonna put jalapeno. I like mine spicy. We got some garlic. Probably need some more garlic for our fried rice. I've got a bunch of ginger. We're gonna take and add some soy sauce. We're just gonna drizzle some low sodium soy sauce in there. I'm gonna hit it with a little rice wine vinegar. And then you always want to salt. It looks like a lot of salt, but just go with it. And then usually in these dishes you use more white pepper than you do regular pepper. And I have half of a lemon here. I'm just going to give it a good squeeze. You can adjust taste a little bit. So I'm just kind of using with whatever I have in the kitchen. You can use green onions. I would usually do this if I was going shopping for it. I would do red onions and green onions, and I'd actually add cabbage and I'm trying to think what was in the garlic and ginger, and then some soy sauce, rice wine vinegar. It's gonna be a little bit different having some bell peppers in there. So you just kind of get it until it's mush. I had a lot of onions and bell peppers. They're from our garden. I froze some of them, so some of that in there. I'm gonna wash my hands here. So then I'm also gonna put a little bit of oil in the bottom of my pan. I can see it smoking here. And I'm gonna adjust that down. We're going to bloom this. This is turmeric. You get it at the Indian store. I'm going to put this in that hot oil, and it just allows it to bloom. This is great for prostate health. It adds an orangey color, so everything in this is going to be basically orange color. But it doesn't add a ton of flavor. Then I'm going to have 2 little pre-mixed stuff. Well, that's blooming up. I turn down the heat now, so that's bloomed. This you get from the Indian store. Basically, it's just like a powdered hot chili, like hotter than what most people use. Like a little bit goes a long way. It's gonna spice the crap out of you. And then if you have some gram masala, or this is a curry masala chicken, it just adds. It's basically a ground up gram masala. And add a little bit of that in. It's just gonna give you some more of that. Awesome like Indian flavors. And like this is very, very loose. I just want to, get it all mixed in and flavorful. You can always test this too if you want to fry up just a little tiny piece, see how it is, but I don't see how it can't taste pretty good. So I'm gonna put all that in, and we're just going to cook it up in batches. I'm going to mix it so that turmeric that was in there gets blended in, and it'll turn everything yellow and orange. So this is basically what you would find in the inside of a dumpling, traditional dumpling. While that's cooking up, I'm going to just chop up a little more garlic. And then while you're waiting too, I've already done it. So you can take a head of cauliflower and you can pulse it in a food processor. Do it just a few times in the food processor because it starts getting like mushy. If you do it too much, and it won't be crumbly. If it gets a little mushy, it's fine. But this kind of makes it a little more like rice when you cook it up. So I pulse it in there a little bit. There's a few big chunks that'll be left over, and I just chop those with a knife. You get that all ready to go. And I don't usually I don't portion anything out really. I just kind of eyeball it, and that just kind of comes with time, but I can roughly estimate. So if people need some actual figures to make this recipe, I will get those for you. But this is obviously tons of veggies and some meat, some herbs. We have so much seasoning in this that you can go pretty lean on the pork. And if you do go really lean on the pork, which is awesome, and you're getting so much lean protein and veggies. That's about it for this meal. We are getting some sodium from the soy sauce, so I use the light soy sauce. But it should be something pretty healthy and delicious. I'm gonna make mine pretty hearty with meat, just because there are so many veggies in here. We have a little bit higher protein to vegetable mix when we eat these days. Towards the end, I like to fry it up a little bit extra, so I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit more. You can see like everything's kind of turned a little bit yellow in there. That's from the turmeric. There's enough cooked through that I can take and have a little taste. See what we taste like here. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah, that's good. All right. Oh, and it has some spice to it. So last thing I'll do is I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit more salt. Again, like everything I'm cooking with doesn't have any added salt to it, so it looks like I'm adding a ton of salt. Kind of am, but nothing started with salt in it, so that's how you get your flavor, and that is just fine. So we're going to scoop this off. I'm just going to put a little tiny bit more oil in, just so I can bloom up another little bit of turmeric. And this stuff is so good for you. It's anti-inflammatory. Like I said, it's great for your prostate. Always looking out for my man's prostate. I'm going to put just a little bit more of this in there and sprinkle a little in there. And then that is all bubbling. There we go. So, mix this up. Now we are going to go and start heating up the pan for the fried rice. So I've got a bigger pan here. I'm going to get the stove on hot. This is still on high from earlier, so we can turn it down a little bit and let that cook. Alright, so we're going to do with the fried rice. We are going to first off the one. Alright. Sesame oil. Sesame oil adds a ton of flavor. It's not something you should be like cooking with. It like little bit amounts. You shouldn't be cooking with a large amount like you do with olive oil sometimes. So as this heats up, we are going to put a little olive oil in there. Actually, I think we're going to throw a sprinkle of oil in here. 2. So like I'm talking like a little drizzle. I'm going to mix that up. This will go back in the pan, so we'll taste this. You can also use sesame seeds. I'm just going to put a little bit in here. Now this is kind of cooked through. You change it back up to high so we get that moisture evaporated out of here, and it crisps up a few little pieces. And we'll let that one go a little longer so we have a good ratio. So I don't even think I put a whole tablespoon of oil in here. I want it to like mix around. I'm gonna do a drizzle of that sesame oil. We are going to saute a little extra garlic and ginger in there just because I like it so much and it's so flavorful. You don't want this to be too crazy hot right now. So you're just kind of like letting the flavors bloom. And you can kind of smell the garlic and ginger cooking with that sesame oil. It's going good. Now we're going to add cauliflower. So, just like I said, there's a full head of cauliflower. I think I can fit it all in here and it should be okay. Yep. Now, I put the lid on. So it's going to start steaming it a little bit. You don't want to steam it a ton because you don't want this just to turn into mush. We're going to start steaming it a little bit and it's going to crisp out the bottom of that and then we'll mix it up here in just a second. Alright, so again on this one, I'm just going to taste a little bit of it. And turmeric, like it's already dyeing. Just the little bit I've put here is dyeing my my cutting board yellow. It dyes everything yellow, so be very careful of that. Yeah. Very good flavor. A little extra salt. Yeah, now it's got some heat. Remember, this is a little bit hotter, so you can back up on the jalapeno a little bit, where you don't have to add if you can't find that spice mixture, the powdered spice mixture that I put in, then that's probably what's actually adding the heat to this. Remember, we're cutting it with the cauliflower over here that doesn't have any jalapeno in it, so. At this point too, just because carrots take a little bit longer to cook, I'm going to actually add the carrots over here. I usually put this in with the cauliflower, but it needs to start cooking a little bit. You can see the cauliflower like shooting out again onto the floor. This is what drives me crazy. I just vacuumed today. So, you keep letting that get crisp, letting that go, and get some cilantro out to finish this off. My cilantro's hidden. And use the stems of cilantro too. I know most people probably sit there and pull off all the leaves, but the stems have so much flavor in them. And it's just kind of drying it out. So, you want the cauliflower to be like, well, however you prefer it. I like mine to have a little tiny bite to it, but not a ton. I like it to be more soft than firm. So this needs a little bit more time. You can also add a little bit more water if that's what you feel. Oh, that's what I needed. Okay. I'm going to trim this off now. Got some nice crispy pieces. Put this back in with it. And you don't have to do this with dumpling filling. So the fried rice itself, what I would do is add carrots and peas. You could add carrots right now while it's steaming because you want the carrots to steam a little bit. They're a little harder. And then we'll add peas in just a little bit and do our egg and some soy sauce. And then you can mix whatever kind of meat you have. You could get rotisserie chicken and put a little sesame glaze on it. You could do some beef and do a hoisin sauce on it or something. That's not the healthiest, but just saying you can play around with the flavors quite a bit. Sometimes we just do like a garlic, ginger, soy sauce, rice wine vinegar, puree that, and just make a little sauce out of it with some sesame seeds and do our beef, really thin sliced beef that way. Alright, smelling good. You still have to remember to season this. Now these were frozen peas, so I want to get them in now, and they have a little extra moisture on them, so they will steam the cauliflower a little bit. Do soy sauce. I might add a little more lemon. Let's see how. That was good. Now we haven't salted this yet, so I do a little salt. We're going to add, I would say about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce here. Okay. I'm going to add some lemon, vibrance. And I'm going to let that evaporate off here real fast. We're going to add some, where did I put that? White pepper. And then we're just going to let all that kind of soak up or evaporate, so it'll kind of condense. And once that happens, it's egg time. My consistency is about where I like it. So I'm going to turn up the heat high so we get that moisture off there. Alright, so I'm going to scoop some of this to my other pan. I'm obviously making a huge mess doing. Scoop some of my meat over into this pan, and carrots. Oh, goodness. So it kind of mixes up. Alright, now it's egg time. So, both of these are fired up. We make a little well right in the middle. This one's hot, so I'm going to go with this one first. Boom. Egg right in there, and you're going to just chop it. And you're just going to keep it in the middle here. Just let it scramble. This one flat. Same thing. Put it in there. Scramble it up. And once it's all the way scrambled, you can start mixing it in. you really like the egg part of it too, go ahead, throw another egg. You're just getting a little more protein, a little more fat. All good for you. And in the right quantities. Alright. Give you a little glimpse of the finished product. And I would portion these out with a protein. There you kind of go. Top it with a little cilantro. Delicious. So again, I would portion this out with a red, done, and a green, because that is about, portion-wise, you're getting at least one protein, and with the egg and the pork, and then you have veggies, which is your cauliflower, all of your peas, carrots, onion, green pepper, or green onions, or whatever things you put in. And then there is some soy sauce in here, but really if you're putting 2 to 3 tablespoons in probably 7 or 8 meals, it's not that much. Your ginger and your garlic should be basically a freebie, and cilantro, it's an herb. So basically, if you put these two together in this bowl, I can guarantee you it's not even what I portioned in this bowl. Let's just check it out. Yeah. That's one protein. If you wanted to do this separately, you could literally do them both separate and put your protein in red and put that in your bowl, and then put a scoop of your green. So look at that. Barely even, if you can see. That's not even half full. So you can eat a little bit more. So enjoy it. It has, jalapeno in there too. There's a lot of like kind of freebie spices and veggies in there. So we're good to go. Enjoy.